Hi y'all, my name is Miranda Belgara and I am currently a sophomore at A&M. I am a psychology major and one day I hope to either be a counselor or a therapist, and I'm from Houston, Texas. So our keyword is conflict, and to me conflict is basically any difference of opinion that leads to an argument or that leads to anger. So I picked conflict when I saw it on the list for two main reasons. The first being, I truly hate conflict. I think everybody does in their own way. And when I saw it, I figured I don't like conflict, so I might as well do something that gets me out of my comfort zone. So that was the first reason. The second reason is because there is so much conflict in our world right now that it's basically unavoidable. So like I said, it gets me out of my comfort zone and it's unavoidable, so why not pick it? And we also had to give an example of conflict in literature. And since this is the only time that we can go outside of our class literature, I decided to talk about Shakespeare because I really, 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 really like Shakespeare. I took one class in high school and I loved it. I loved writing the essays. I loved reading Shakespeare. I loved watching the movies, even though they're extremely long. So I decided to pick Shakespeare, and I picked Shakespeare's Macbeth. It was actually the first book that I read in my Shakespeare class senior year. So yeah, I really like it. And so in one of the first acts, Macbeth and Lady Macbeth experience their own conflict. And it stems from Macbeth having been prophesized to be king. And so he tells his wife, and they come up with this plan to kill Duncan. And he obviously wants to do it because he wants to be king, but he's pretty hesitant about it. He's not as confident as his wife is. And that leads to conflict between them because his wife gets very frustrated with him as far as going as far as to say he wasn't man enough to kill Duncan. So that was a small little conflict in one of my favorite Shakespeare books. So I thought I'd cover that. And it wasn't big, but it was a major conflict between them, and it was in the beginning. And then we also have to give an example of conflict in contemporary culture. And honestly, I feel like that's pretty easy. A lot of conflict comes from politics, I feel like, right now, especially regarding President Trump and him wanting to build the wall. I think that is like the biggest topic right now that is really controversial. So I think there's conflict from opposing sides, and then there's conflict with between people who don't want him to build the wall, and then people who do, people who support Trump, and then people who don't. So yeah, that was my take on conflict, and thank you guys for listening.